Hello, everybody. Is just someone tell me my sound's on? Free quantum stuff. You guys are the best. But somebody please tell me my sound is work. Is the sound on? Somebody tell me. Do I have to type this in? Y'all know what I need to. Is the sound working? I don't have my headphones on. Yay! Thank you guys. I only need to know one thing beginning of each little time I crawl out of my hide hole. Can you hear me? Just just not scream, just kind of adjusting my lighting into the void, eternally adjusting my lighting. There we go. I lost the light to the readjustments on the to the home improvements. And so my light right now, my light is just a normal old light shown against a mirror. We're really going a little low budget right now. So there we go. Oh, I don't quite like that. I need light in my. I need to be blinded directly by my lighting, or else it's not good enough. Almost there. Almost there. Does my head look big enough yet? Then I know the lighting's good. Let's see. That's almost working for me. If I can get something, I'm okay. There we go. There we go. Almost. I'm crackling though. Okay, that's probably a computer problem. It's not a microphone problem. That's a my computer has a little hum on it issue. There we go. Close, but not quite. If I just bleach it out for a moment, it'll eventually unbleach. Little too shiny, a little too much. I don't think that's gonna work. We're almost there with this lighting. I know I am missing the Dodgers-Padres game, but you know what? I'm a Red Sox fan, so it's okay. I think I'm just gonna go with the side lighting. I think I'm sticking with this. I think I'm going with this. We're sticking here. This is where we stand. So anyway, hi guys. I'm back. I'm not COVID-y any longer. I can I'm not fixing the lighting anymore. It's not good. This is the best we can do. We're sticking. Hello, have a gay day. Thank you for joining us. You have a gay day as well. I don't any day in which I wake up, it is a gay day. It's just we're gonna be like that. So I'm sorry for any of the audio issues. This is my mine and my computer's first, obviously, stream back from spending nearly. I feel like if I'm leaning over like this, I look like I'm a little naked back here. I just need to. We can kind of pull this off to this point. This is oh god, this is gonna get this video banned from a couple of the tubes. Nah, just gonna stick up a little bit higher. Need to keep this PG. Need to not. I'm already demonetized on Facebook for I have no idea what. But I am demonetized on Facebook. So if you want to go down there and click any of the things that can give me, money, or you can send me candy via my Amazon wish list. That is always a kind, neighborly thing to do. But moving on. COVID was awful, and I don't even want to know how bad that shit is unvaccinated. And my God, the going through Naked Science Night. Yeah, it's just that's for patrons only. It's yeah. Tell us about nuclear power. I have told y'all a lot about nuclear power. We're on to quantum shit now. Given that quantum shit is part of the new, anyways. But yeah, it's been a few days of having my mind warped by quantum stuff. And then while I'm writing about Albert Einstein, I'm like, why did quantum give this guy such a fucking mind war? What did he do anyway? What did Einstein do? Anyways, but then I was going back and reading about relativity, and I'm like, why? Wasn't relativity kind of a mind fuck too? And it is. It's like, it's that thing where I know what relativity is, and every time I read about it and go back through all the math of it, and it's like it still fucks with my head, but nothing like quantum because there's let's see. I've seen I've seen so many it's I see a peach emoji um coming through. So I'm not sure. I've seen so many peaches on this thing. It'll be fine. I'm not. I'm gonna see that as a peach on quantum mechanics. I've seen so many peaches on quantum mechanics. I like that. Akiko, my sense of taste is. It seems pretty much back to normal. I'm still um not to be. I'm still not sure if I trust myself to like because normally when I cook, I just kind of hear me stovetop ingredients. I'm gonna oh, ass. It that's okay. I'm old. What can I say? I just, anyways. But yeah. I'm doing like HelloFresh meal kits. It's and hello from California. You in Kenting over there in in Kentingland. Yeah. It's I'm quite sure that yeah I'm doing HelloFresh meal kits right now, and they're pretty helpful for somebody who doesn't know if my sense of taste is working. It's the only thing you have to kind of figure out on your own is salt and pepper. And the one downside is I'm not sure how well my salt is. Oh, I just went fuzzy. Yeah, I can see that I went fuzzy over. Come on, camera, focus up. Um, but it's the food tastes pretty good. They don't like they have of course like they have some dishes that are like that are from different countries, and those are like that are. Simom has entered the chat. They have dishes that are, from different countries, from different ethnicities, and I'm like, those are hit or miss. Like, they have the flavors, kind of, but I'm like, I feel like a grandmother from some of these kitchens would be disappointed, if you know what I mean. So I'm like, they're hit or miss on, like I said, yeah, just the ethnic stuff, but they're pretty fucking tasty, and they like however long they say they take to prepare, like be ready to have to sit down and read the instructions before. Like if say they take 10 minutes to prepare, that's if you know what the thing is beforehand and aren't stopping to read but anyway, yeah, it's they're not bad. Like part of it is there are two of us here, and I got tired of food waste. Like we threw out leftovers. I have a fairly unstable appetite. Derek is working late a lot of nights. I'm writing late a lot of nights. And part of it was just my unstable appetite, like led to me not like just not being hungry for dinner half the time. And it's been yeah, whilst I was going through my weight loss through grief period, but I was like, I would just like to have dinners that are like two people. It's ready for like here you go. You still get to cook, but so anyway, it's a few new recipes added onto the repertoire. I probably won't do it forever, but especially while I can't figure out if what I'm making is the right taste, then yeah, they're super helpful. But figuring out the salt, that's one thing. I'll get to you in a second, Keith. Like one thing that's still a little like I don't trust yet is the salt, because one thing that I seem to taste before anything else, like everything has had a salty aftertaste for a few weeks, and that's like since COVID, the first thing I taste, like grapes, have had a salty aftertaste. Diet Coke has a little bit of a like salt hit to it. Whatchamacallit, like nothing thing. I had some caramel that I'm like, this is kind of pleasant, salted caramel, but like not what I bought. So that was not not what I planned on. But like some things are starting to taste true to what I know they're supposed to taste like. And the other thing that was weird, like while they tasted like salt, they also tasted like watered down. Like there was like something that there was a like the heart of the flavor was missing. So that was rough. But like having the sense of smell missing for 4 days entirely, like everyone's had their nose clogged when they've been sick before, but goddamn, like this was like it was offline from my from my brain. Like it's you realize when nothing has a smell that like everything has a smell. You know, like you walk into a different room in your house, it smells different. You walk outside, there's a smell. You walk inside, there's a smell. Your pillow has a smell. Your clothes have a smell as they pull them on. You uncap your deodorant. That's like everything has a. And then suddenly, like I just bought a body scrub that smelled really strong, and it smelled of nothing. And I'm like, ugh. Like peanut butter was one thing that I could still consistently smell. Like I had to put my nose like to the jar, but it was that I could smell. I could barely smell coffee. There were like electrolyte packets that I was drinking regularly. Sai spouse just texted that they're on their way home. Which makes me super thrilled. I'm just gonna give me. That's gonna be part of the. Hold on a second. Yay. Yay, I'm doing a live stream. See you soon. Kisses emoji because we're adorable. There we go. It's just wanted to. That's the Psy marriage. So he is they're working as an analytical chemist now, and it's super cute because like the lab they work in analyzes pot various types of cannabis samples, and like one of like they analyze for for THC and terpene uh, content, like the amount of it, and they also test to make sure that it doesn't have anything like heavy metals or pesticides in it. And anyone who's been here long enough, I'm going to scroll back up here in a second to try to get some questions. Anyone who's been here long enough knows that I have both worked at a drug testing lab and pesticide lab, and so it's kind of it's nice. It's kind of nice that my spouse is working at a place where like they go to work every day, and like they come home and we're talking about what Derek's doing at work, and I'm like, I know like everything that like not the methods because everything like things have changed. Obviously equipment's up since I've been sitting here talking to you folks. Equipment's upgraded. Like they don't do column trims anymore. Like depending on the type of columns that they're working with in GCMS. I'm sorry, I'm getting into one of the types of equipment like has complete that they use in one of the components of a main instrument that we use. It used to need a certain kind of trimming on a regular basis. Otherwise, the way you read things was completely unreliable. And it's just they've revolutionized it. And I'm like, why aren't you doing it? This thing is just called a column trim. I'm like, what do you mean you don't do column trims? Isn't your chromatography completely messed up? He's like, no, I've been there for a month and we don't do. And he came back and told me this is what it is now. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not a chemist anymore. Like it was kind of not devastating, but very it was kind of surprising. When I found out that this thing that was such a regular part of chemist at every lab I'd been at was just gone. It was just not a part of it anymore. So that was neat. But yeah, it's neat that working in a place where I know it's like I know what the process of the day is. And when they come home, they're we're talking about their day and saying, hey, we're having like I can kind of be. It's nice to be able to be a sounding board and actually understand the stuff. So that's kind of fun. I'm gonna scroll up and try to grab some questions. But yeah, I'm not taking cough meds or I haven't taken cough meds in a few days, but I know that things can spring back, and I'm not. I'm. It's. I'm still like. I'd say I'm not gonna try smoking pot again, but I don't trust myself. Like maybe I will, maybe I will. It's like I'm feeling better enough to chance it, and I'll see. I might try one this weekend. Patrons might look if you would like to witness that. Patrons, if you want to contribute to my downfall, we're gonna have a patron only stream on Sunday. But anyways, moving on. Um, I've babied my lungs. I've rested up a lot. I've done here's something. Oh no, I'm not. Akiko, hold on. Hold on a second. Let me just. There's a tiny little side dog down here that misses you all. And would like to say hello. Well, mostly he would like to lick my nose because he thinks that might have a flavor, but he would really like to tell you guys hello and he missed you. And he's isn't he just, look at this muffin, this tiny little muffin of a dog. Oh my God, I don't deserve him. He's just the bestest. He was so good while I had hold on a second. I just where did everything that I'm looking for go? Oh no. Oh no. Buddy, did you take my anyways, there was isn't he the bestest? Isn't he, buddy, do you have anything you would like to say? If you can hear him slurping, then you're welcome, or I'm sorry, but there is your kisses. We do not deserve dogs. They are the bestest. They're the bestest thing we could possibly have. Um, but yeah, he was a good doggo, and just much like he does normally, he sat on my lap and was lazy whilst I was coveting. So it was much appreciated. But yeah, I mostly as y'all know, I do appreciate the marijuans. And so I mostly I vaped, and I've done edibles. And here's the weird thing that I found, and I understand that it's just and I am not a doctor. I am especially not your doctor, and I am not at all a medical professional. So whatever I say is not medical advice. Don't at all. Do not take this as medical advice. Don't take this as advice for you get COVID. Um, the times that I felt the least like coughing, and if you've gotten COVID and gotten that cough, you like we've all it's if you've been there, and we have the same cough. The times when I felt least like coughing was when I was most sedated between, like, because I'm on other medications that are kind of downers. Don't mix them, obviously, but when you have to be on multiple meds that are kind of not on the upping you, like there are meds that are neutral on the scale, but like I'm on other meds that kind of make me drowsy, along with my one of the cough medications, that was because I had one over the counter cough med, and two prescription ones. And it's like between all of them at certain points in time, like between that and everything else, there was one day where all of them hit, plus a cannabis edible. And I think most of the effect that I was on was the combination of dextromethorphan, which, if you're familiar, it's if you ever robo tripped back in the 90s, because that's what we did when we were really bored at the mall. So, I mean, that's what I knew some kids who did. I was valedictorian. I would never. No, there was one night at World of Science where I was starting to trip balls as I left work. I looked The shit was interesting when teenagers got to roam the halls of the malls at night and just be like, "I'm trying to save extra money for college, mom." Look, I had fun and I regret nothing. So moving on. Uh I got see this adorable dog that I am trusted with. Anyways, so yeah, did it's so at some point I'm a little bit too high on a combination of an edible and cough syrup, and it's the first time in days that I just wasn't coughing nonstop. That it was like finally whatever the mechanism in my lungs was like, and I am at peace. You have sated the beast. So I'm not saying to take every different type of downer that you've got, or to take a pot edible, or to, and I promise I was not taking too much cough medication. I was taking the correctly prescribed. I was just taking the 12-hour Mucinex a day, but it was just a combination with the pot edible. Like, I was a kind of high that I had not been. My mom, my mom witnessed. My mother, who was there and witnessed all this and knew it was not like over, but like I was coughing, like that kind of cough where you were coughing so hard that you're out of breath and you're trying to get. It's a dry cough, so there's nothing to hack out. You feel like you have to hack something out, and you feel like the cough is almost done and almost done and almost done, and you're pounding. Like eventually, I was pounding on my chest to try to get it out, and there was nothing out, to get out, and it was just ugh. But, eventually I wasn't petting a furry wall. I was very much with it. I was just very drowsy. But I knew that because I felt like I kind of felt because I felt drowsy and I knew I was on multiple medications that I should stay awake. It seemed like the appropriate thing to do because I'm like, I don't know if I'm drowsy or like being knocked out. So I stayed awake through that. Didn't they use crazy stuff like morphine for coughs in the 90s? Yeah, they used yeah, that's, historically accurate, but, like, it's and I don't know what part of, because they still use codeine, for cough syrup, and c or let me rephrase this, the last time I checked, they used codeine and Vicodin in various formulations of cough syrup, and I'm not sure if that's still like, I'm sure in some cases still done, but like it's like I feel like that might be used less frequently now, given given that we're being a little bit testier about how they get passed out, who they give to. Yeah, they did. Like I mean, back in the day, the way to calm down a baby was like, here, just dip the pacifier or maybe the bottle into. Just give them some fucking whiskey. It's fine. It's okay. It's a baby. It's fine. They can take it. Ugh. Anyways, uh, this is that wasn't whiskey, just to clarify. Moving on. Thank you very much, Star. I appreciate it. And I'm feeling precipitously like light years. It was just I remember like mom and I would just be wandering around and by wandering I mean we were not very up and about, but like while we were doing you know, end of the like we would just be wandering around going, it's like, oh, this is the weirdest fucking thing. This is the weirdest fucking sickness. Like it's just it was a weird sick. And I feel like I know people got much sicker than me. It was just kind of a strange sick. I don't know, like because I've had a zillion colds and flus in my house. I have had in my house in my life. I've had strep so many times that I needed to get my tonsils out. And I'm chronically ill, so I've got things that just dislocate for fun. I think the two illnesses that just were still, that came and went, that still fascinated me the most. This one and norovirus, because norovirus, I went from zero to fucking hell sleeping on my bathroom floor, and I have never since and never again. Russell, I'm so happy to see you here. I have never since and never, sorry to go back to talking about the time I slept on my bathroom floor, but yeah, the time I got norovirus and like 5 other people that same day at my office or at my lab, it was when I worked at AMVAC, 5 other people that exact night. Were also sleeping on their bathroom floor from my work. But yeah, it was, I didn't think it was possible to have a system just like, just like you could picture that there were little germs inside of you just going warp drive, everybody out of the pool. It was a lot. And I thought that would be the worst thing that would ever happen to a cruise ship, right? Right? Oh, and that I and then COVID happened. Oof. I had a very it was I was trying to figure out how to conceptualize a quantum particle. And this is I'm not high yet, so I don't feel like I'm going to be able to explain it well. But there's only 95 of you, so it's I say this and I'm like I know someone's going to watch it later and be like this what's wrong with her. So it's the hardest part, I think, in trying to explain it is in trying to explain. So there are these two particles, right? And they're entangled, and neither of them has a definite spin. They're kind of spinning in this wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. They've got the same, an indefinite opposite, but they've all got, it's one spin, man. It's all one, but not a same spin. Just don't try to conceptualize a quantum particle. It's, I picture it as one of the aliens of the week in Rick and Morty. It's a big, round, moving blob that's all there's equal but opposite angular momentum going in any direction, and it's just waiting. It's a big round blob like that's superimposed on itself and moving in both directions, and it's just waiting. It's at the airport waiting to go through the metal detector and it's moving in different directions and it finally gets its spin when it goes through the metal detector, and that is the way I look at it. Look, I've done a lot of drugs in my life. I feel like I have to find a way to make that metaphor work a little better. But I have a way. It's like I'm starting to see this a little less terribly. But yeah, it's less biblically accurate quantum particles. Ah, Everything I needed to know about quantum physics I learned from Ant-Man. It's here's the thing, almost all of us who right now are not working in quantum mechanics, who are adults, we've learned everything we're going to need to know about it for the most part. So what? Let's see. Particles have intrinsic mass. Why can't they have an intrinsic angular momentum? And that's the thing. These are quantumly entangled particles, right? So they function as part of a combined of a wave function. So they're part of a system, right? So, and this is just, we just have to take it as, and here's the thing I've learned about quantum mechanics: acceptance. Acceptance. The rules are different when you get super fucking big and super fucking tiny, right? Like when it's when you get to planetary level, you have you've got gravity that keeps stuff sucked in you, and you get to when you get to so when you get stuff that stays stuck to it. When you get to hello gray, when you get to black hole level, you get stuff that gets sucked in that nobody can see again. Like, so we have different ways. So relativity and special relativity has ways of bending space time, but we can describe that mathematically in a way that's precise and defined, and we can say where it is and say what's happening. And those calculations, the Einstein field equations, are very complicated, and I do not know how to do them, but I know how to talk about them a little bit. But those are and that's where we get and those are a lot of his of general relativity. But moving on, but with quantum, these are very, very small things. So, and that they almost ignore space time, because we need to know it's because we need to know speed of light, and we need to know how there's no, this ignores the speed of light, and they're moving across space time as though locality has no has like there's I'm trying to figure out how to explain local realism and the fact that nothing's real except things are real, and now it gets now things get confusing. So one of I one of my first article, I talked a little bit about local real, or not local realism, about action at a distance, like gravity. We think about that as action at a distance, but then we have, as it was called, spooky action at a distance, where these two, yeah, exactly, local realism doesn't exist. Then we have spooky action at a distance, where these two particles just take it for granted. They got entangled. They had a little look. They had a tete-a-tete. They had a little bit of a mess in the sheets, and they call each other every once in a while. It's good. They're entangled and they're moving apart. And now here's the thing: these two quantum particles are entangled, and the whole thing is that they're spinning. They've got angular momentum, and we call the angular momentum spin. They're not spinning per se, but they've got angular momentum. That's just a thing they do. So we get these particles. There are a couple different ways that we get these particles. One is they're photons that we got out of a giant machine that I don't have the name of off the top of my head. The other is you get enough energy put together. You too can create a couple of quantum particles out of nothing. More complicated than that. There's a quantum physicist in the audience going, "Oh my god!" But yeah, quantum entanglement. So, anyways, and they exist as part of a wave function. And the thing is, when you have basically the universe has to exist at equilibrium. So when they come into the world, they have to be. There's no definite spin. They're equally wibbly wobbly. They're wobbling at opposite. So they think of it not as a spin, but they're wobbling. They're wobbling in opposition to each other. They're spinning, but it's not definite. But here's the thing: when they go through a detector, and there's a way that we have to detect them. And things this tiny, when they go, they're so tiny that just the act of measuring them is gonna change them, and that's the part that I think, or just the act of measuring them gives them spin, and that's the part that Einstein had a problem with, and that's the part that I still have trouble wrapping my head around a little bit. So, like when I say they have a wibbly wobbly timey wimey, these two particles are kind of spinning in opposition. So they're kind of not the easiest way to think of them, as opposed to two particles, is think of them as one particle system that happens to be apart. So they're an entangled particle system. And that's why the math says that they don't have two, and that's the part that's really hard to look at, is that the math says they don't have two spins. The math says they have one, like it's one system, spins that add up to there's a superimposition that adds up to one quantum state, but they both have to have angular momentum and it has to be opposite to each other. I think that's right. um I'm going to watch this later after I think I understand quantum the next time and see if I got this the right this time. So here's the thing. Does that I don't know how much that makes sense. So in simple form, EPR involves but there can be more than two entanglement. Yeah, there can be more than two, but two is just the easiest way to discuss this because two. But like so we have the two, and they're heading away on. So anyways, we have the two, and so we're taken for granted at this point. So here's the thing: the EPR paradox. Here's the craziest part to me is that quantum entanglement kind of started by Einstein saying, "Fuck you, fuck quantum mechanics, fuck the wave, the wave functions. I dare you I dare you to do a quantum entanglement." Like he kind of proposed quantum entanglement out of the wave functions and out of the math of quantum mechanics, and was like, "Here's this idea. If quantum mechanics and these wave functions of Mr. Schrodinger and his fucking kitty cat holds true, then this has to be true. Fuck off." And he was very, I don't fucking think so. And here's the thing, he wasn't the only one who thought this way. He basically was like, things have to, and the paper was kind of philosophical almost. It was like, here's how the nature of reality has to be. If we're saying these equations are true and real and the way we're interpreting them is accurate, then they have to correlate to a known reality. And how can these correlate to a known reality if they're violating local realism? If things are like, because these have to these have to these have to show us something that's real, that we understand, that we like. If this doesn't correlate to known reality, to the physical reality, if we're describing physics. Yes, I know it. EPR had three authors. The others were Rosen and Podolsky, I believe, was the last one, and I might be losing a syllable somewhere in there. And Einstein, it was said that his views were not 100% correctly represented in it. I in fact read a copy of the article yesterday, and by read a copy of it, I mean tried super fucking hard to get it. Yes, indeed, I got it right. Nice. Nathan Rosen, I think it was. Did I get that right? No, I probably didn't. The other, anyways, but yeah, I believe I might be misremembering, but I think it was Podolsky that they did the lion's share of writing on the actual article. But yeah, it was basically the punchline of it was Einstein was like, "Fuck you, this isn't." This not end of the day, he didn't think that a system that later was came to be known as an entangled system. He just looked at it, did out the math, and was like, "Here's what must be true if quantum is true. These new particles that travel away from each other, and an observer sees it at this place, and an observer sees this at the other place, such that they can't tell each other what's going on. This one's gonna like." He was just like, yeah, the thing that we've seen is true. So this spooky action at a distance, I believe later, Dean, he's like, this would end up having to be true, which violates the speed of light, and fuck off. No. And he wanted there to be hidden variables. He wanted there to be other things like that. These basically what he thought was true was either, and here's the thing, these kind of make sense. Like he wasn't saying anything that made less sense than quantum mechanics. Like the things he proposed made far more fucking sense than quantum, right? He was saying either they already had spin before they were measured, which that is probably what makes sense to all of us, right? Like we're looking at this going, why couldn't they fucking have spin? Because the math says they couldn't. But like, it's that, that didn't not make sense. That still makes a lot of us go, yeah, Einstein suggests why not. But he didn't exactly. He didn't like the probability, and that's what I'm getting to. And I'm actually working on writing a little. I have a thing I wrote that's going to be posted later about the God does not play dice quote, but he hated it because he's like, how can you say that it's a wave function. I showed you how to parse out how the universe, the gravity, and you're telling me that you can't find out where a fucking particle is? Huh? Huh? It made very little sense to him that this was how the universe was going to turn out to work, because it didn't, like, special relativity at least seemed to, even though it didn't, the math was different than classical physics, it jived with it. There was a cohesiveness to how they kind of saw the universe in a, like, there was it's they could eventually, those there was not there was less disagreement in a way. These seem to say these did not this did not fit with his view of the world, kind of understandably. So anyways, it's so this was something that he fought for. I don't want to say the rest of his career, but here's the thing. By the time it's and I'm because I am not that far in my read. I have so much reading to do. But by the time there was first an experiment around that could show that quantum entanglement could work, was real. It was Dr. Clauser, one of the people who won the Nobel Prize for this just last week. And I it's it was, long time after Einstein had passed. So it's like, how much did he ever know was proven from these theories? How much did he ever change his mind on it? But I mean, he had two major stub his toe on his own accurate math moments. Like, one of them was with the expanding universe, because he did the math outright to show the universe, it might be either expanding or contracting. Indeed, it is my normal brain speed. My brain's always tripping over itself. It's always trying to research six things at once. It's exactly why I go through. It's This is what it's like having ADHD, and it's the end of the day, and I haven't had caffeine since 9 a.m. And so my brain is just six directions at once. So I take my ADHD meds in the morning, and however long they last for is how long they last for. Should probably talk to my doctor about that. I have an appointment next week. But yeah, end of the day, it's kind of fritzing out. But where was I before I was so rudely interrupted myself? To do Einstein, something about quantum mechanics. That's for sure. Let's see. So Einstein didn't believe it was real. Could anyone? We're getting. Let's see. Universe didn't make sense. Yeah, you like it. It's hard to exist in this hailstorm of a brain sometimes. Let's see. Universe didn't make sense. Literature. I made a quick pit stop over at relativity. I'm glad I'm entertaining, Sherry. Hopefully you're having a dance over it. And it's a dance break. You know what? I'm going to have a long sip of this, and by then I'll remember where I was. And I remembered so quickly that I splashed myself. So anyways, that's exactly what the Nobel Prize was awarded for. So Dr. Clauser was one of the first ones to be able to show that quantum entanglement was possible. And here was the interesting part about thank you, Einstein stubbing his toes on his own mathematics. Yeah, so one of the first times was when he was showing the universe was expanding and contracting, and he got the math for that right. Because the universe is fucking expanding, and he looked at that and he was like, no, fuck you, that doesn't make sense. The universe, so he made up, so he kind of, busted out the cosmological constant to correct for his correct math. Oh, you silly genius, you. So, and eventually corrected that one. But man, can you imagine revolutionizing all these different things about the universe, showing the math that the universe is probably expanding, and then being like, no, that's not right. I can't. Man, he was super good at second guessing. Of all the things he was good at, second guessing himself, top 10 list. And the other one, he threw out he was like, he was like, go, your equations for quantum entanglement, but fuck you, it's not. Wow. Wow. That's just that was one of the mind blowers, but yeah, it's finally kind of sort of grasping, like I feel like I sort of grasp it now. The last thing that I have to really kind of wrap my head around a little bit more are wave function collapse, and John Bell's the Bell's inequality, and that's the last part of me trying to sort like shove this through my brain. And like I said with quantum, it's less about getting going. Oh yes, this makes perfect sense with all the rules of the physical, like like I know how I know how objects work when I touch them. Why did I just fuck up my lighting because I was touching objects? It's ADHD brain. But that it's we feel like we understand like the rules of the physical universe. Like laws of inertia make sense to us. You flick something, you know it's going to go a certain amount of direction because it has energy behind it. Things in motion, oh, they've got, there's amount of friction, they're going to go a certain amount until friction and forces working against them. Like what it's that you those things, like Newton's laws of mechanics, those made sense. Special relativity and general relativity, those little trickier, but after a few times of looking at them, you're like, okay, this is something I can at least understand because these, like especially special relativity, they involve observers. But you can kind of look at it and after a few times make your brain go, ooh, I see it. Even if you don't understand, if you don't like the if the math of it isn't your jam, this doesn't do anything that makes sense with known reality. This at some point I just tell myself, and then a miracle happens. And when I realized I was saying, I was just kind of going, okay, and then magic, and then miracle, and then poof, like it was basically going, and then like that's all it seems like to me. Like wave function collapse, and then measuring it affects the other one that could be light years away. And I don't know if we've tested light years because that's a little like we don't do we have I don't think we have instruments that far, but like wave function collapse followed by changing something that is super far away without any means of communication, like that feels like, and God waved his magic wand, like like Schrodinger called him on the hotline. He's like, "Yo, we need another wave function to. I just need to keep fucking with Einstein." Like, I hate that people think making cosmological concepts brilliant because of dark energy. Who's ignoring that? Yes, yeah, I think he just did a silly there. I think that he was like I say this as a Jew, we have a tendency to doubt ourselves. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Self-doubt. It's something we bring to the table. It's well, self-deprecating humor at least, at the very least. It's true. Here's the thing. We don't actually touch things and we don't know if things are real anymore because there was, and this is the last bit that I have to get through, is local realism, and that's the rough part because it's like there were like the last thing of this was not figuring out, are these molecules or are these not molecules, are these particles, are these atomic and subatomic particles, are they breaking the speed of light? It's are basically is are things like is things is locality real, is like there are a handful of things to figure out from that. So that's the next thing that I'm trying to understand while I'm writing this piece. So it's like I have to understand it so I can write metaphors about it to make it understandable out here. And this is the first time I've kind of talked through it where I've gone, oh, I feel like I understand quantum, and now I have to call up a quantum physicist to be like, so did I fuck that? Was that how fucked was? Is that okay? How many of those words were wrong? I think I'm kind of there. So, anyways, we've been on for like 45 minutes. I'm not going to stay on for that much more because it's my throat still does get a little sore after enough time talking because I still think that's partially from COVID. Might just be that I've been talking about quantum mechanics. Let's see, I didn't have to take quantum mechanics. I did have to take PChem, but I just in my well, I mean, which has a bit of quantum, but in my defense, I'm 39, and that was when I was 21. And I've been an analytical chemist and a forensic toxic. Like I did forensic talks since then. Like, do you think I thought about? So here's the other thing. All the symbols for PChem. So I speak English. All the symbols for PChem are in Greek, and my professor for PChem was Russian. We had a bit of a failure to communicate in that class. Like at one point, she said to me, like, I got a C first semester. It's the only C I got in college, and I got a B second semester. And at one point, she said, when after I got the C, which like fair. I said to her, I'm like, oh, C, huh? And she looked at me and said, just be glad it was not C minus. Oh, that was cold, Rifkin. Ouch. Ouch. And it's, I don't even know how I got a C out of that class. Like to be fully honest. I did not I should have taken basically, to be blunt, I should have taken triple variable calculus before that class. Because that would have made it much easier. I should have taken triple variable calculus to make another class easier. Oh God. But like here's the thing, making that, and look, I loved my Russian professor, Dr. Rivkin. Because of Dr. Rivkin, I can do Russian accent today. But she was a lot, and learning PChem under her. Here's the thing, I learned analytical from her, and I could learn analytical just by reading the book. Learning PChem from her was fucking impossible, because learning PChem is impossible under good circumstances. So yeah, that was rough. That was pretty. And my mom just chimed in. She really liked you. Mom, she used to say, if Yvette would put as much effort into chemistry as she would into theater, she would win Nobel Prize. She wanted me to drop out of theater. And I think and I'm trying to think if that meant she thought I put a lot of effort into my singing. She seems like she's really trying when she sings. Like that's how my self-deprecating brain looks at that. It's Yvette's really putting a lot of time in. No, I think the thing she thought was that I was putting so much time into the theater guild. Dan, is that accent a lower register version of Melania? No, that accent is straight up my chem professor from college. You don't know, Dr. Rifkin that is who she is. But yeah, she always did come to my performances. She was great about supporting the theater guild. You know what? Here's the thing. I'm sure somewhere out there she is very proud of me and still going, she should be winning Nobel Prize. Like she still was like, sure, I should be out there doing smarter things than I was. But like this is, I know that there I've seen people who have said they left their field of naturopathy to go study biomedical sciences. This is what I am perfectly in my Yvette element doing this. So if I can get a couple people to do smarter things, to go off and change the world with their science from this, I'm in my happy place, and I'm doing the best. I think I'm the I forget who this is from. It might have but I heard Penn say it a lot. The genius is, and this is a quote he took from someone else, might have been Bob Dylan. The genius is the person who's most like themselves, or most like themselves. It might have been Oscar Wilde. Who knows? If someone knows where that quote comes from, please, I appreciate it. But like you lean into lean into whatever. Like you're like, this feels deeply me, and when I was 17, I said I was double majoring in chemistry and theater because I wanted, we already had Bill Nye the Science Guy. I was going to be Yvette the Science Dudette. Like this is what I wanted to do since I was 17. So, it's mission accomplished. Drop the banner. It's good. But anyways, back off Dr. Rifkin. And yeah, I did a tiny little bit of quantum stuff in college. And you know what we did was study and cry. That was basically what we did. We would read our book constantly. We would look over our notes that we couldn't understand. We would we would stay up all night studying for the test, wake up the day or we'd stay up late studying, get up the morning of, go and go and read, go for study group together mornings of the tests. And it was just, we would just be sitting there going, do you get any of it? No. How much do you, all night? Like we'd look at each other's study sheets. comprehensively, barely. Did you get any of it? No. Like it was there were two people in the class I think who really got it at the end of the year, and like it's like that. Yeah, I would say two, a good solid two that got it at the end of the year out of I want to say 13. And I that was I'm not saying that the rest of the people were as like straight up what this might as well be hieroglyphics as all of us, but like second semester I did earn a better grade. But man, no, I mean, I really did like PChem lab, but physical chemistry itself, just with the like the combination of things did not work out for me. But no, I did. I always enjoyed the theory. We got to the math, that got messier, and it was like somewhere between the theory and the math and the terms and the accent and the everything of it was just, and the me not being like I should have taken Calc 3. Like Calc 3 wasn't required for chem majors, and it absolutely fucking should have been. They were like, yeah, same math requirements for math and bio. That shouldn't be the case. Not at all. But yeah, it's anyways, I'm super enjoy like the other thing that I've dove into this year that I've just like dove into hard and really enjoyed was the rabies research. And I'm still like I'm gonna pick that up again at some point. But like I kind of, I went home and I'm like, I really am gonna try to have a vacation. Then I got COVID. And that one's been I've hit a brick wall at some point because I'm trying to figure out what what's happened. Like there's a brick wall there somewhere that I can't get to, and mainly it's because the person doing the research on that like they won't share any of their research, so it's impossible to verify or not verify some of their claims. And my main thing, like whenever I think someone's like not being honest, my first question is show me the money. Like where is there an attempt to make money off of a lie, or sorry, off of, I don't want to say they're lying. I want to say that is there an attempt to make money off of deception, off of something that seems seems a little fuzzy here, and I can't pinpoint it to a point where I can put anything more on it, and that's the hardest part about this. Like they have things on their website saying, no, I would not. It's Paul, I like not getting sued. I really love not getting sued. And without solid proof, like there are people who go on. It's at some point, don't they have to publish? Don't and here's the thing: they've published things. They've published negative findings that they publish negative findings that people that have tried. So this is back to if you guys might I don't know who remembers who's read that. Anyways, I wrote an article about a girl about the Milwaukee protocol, this protocol that allegedly saved a person from dying of rabies, and has now been tried out around the world in other situations. Now, it seems like there have been documented cases of about 20, 30 some odd people total who have not died now from the rabies. They're not in good shape. And I don't want to downplay the fact that it's pretty fucking cool that we're able to keep people from dying. But there are only a couple that have stayed alive and are even able to communicate. There's one person and there are a few of those people that there's no that like it's questionable if they even had rabies, or if and it's questionable if whatchamacallit, they it's questionable if they went through the full Milwaukee protocol. Some of them and the point of this doctor who developed the Milwaukee protocol was that the person he first treated, the person they first cured, hadn't had any vaccines, hadn't had any immunoglobulin, and this and most of the other cases where someone survived using parts of the Milwaukee protocol were given either basically most of the people who were given it after basically they were, a lot of them were failed vaccinations. Like they were given and the vaccine does not fail often. Once in a while someone doesn't get through, they vaccinate late, or they don't get through their whole vaccine series, or they get bitten on their face. And a lot of the reason, like rabies is slow moving, people have been documented, rare, but low viral load, and in tiny little bite in your toe. There have been documented cases of it taking 6 years to travel from a bite to someone's central nervous system. But typical incubation, 3 weeks to 3 months, sometimes up to a year. But late vaccination, or basically partially effective vaccinations, are some of the reasons, some of the cases where people have survived. And this guy is trying to claim that the Milwaukee Protocol is the reason why these people have survived, and in most of these cases, they don't survive in great shape. And I don't want to take away from the fact that they survived, which is incredible. But some of them are, there have been a few cases where there's one case where they survived via the Milwaukee Protocol, and they're still in they're still in the ICU years later. And this family is, it's one of the families. There are two families in Brazil. One who seems to have definitely gone through the Milwaukee Protocol, with it's unclear the vaccination status, but one of them is definitely still in hospital, like in needing critical care round the clock. And there was another child, I believe, there was a child in South America that they claimed was saved by it, and they died while still in treatment. And their claim was, well, they started forming antibodies, so we think that the Milwaukee Protocol saved them. And it's like, and they died of an unrelated something else later. And it's like, I looked through the case file and I'm like, they died of pneumonia, which, as when I looked through it, is a not entirely uncommon complication while people are being going through rabies. It was like they died of a complication that was not uncommon. Um, I'm sorry, but if you're in treatment for rabies and you die, you like it felt like it felt like an argument of died of COVID or died with COVID. I'm like, I'm sorry, but if you've got a bunch of rabies on the brain, you died from rabies, motherfucker. Like, nah, I'm not buying it. But there are cases where the person has died and they try to claim, oh no, but they were starting to get antibodies, so this Milwaukee Protocol definitely worked on them. And it's like, what? Like, and here's the thing, the Milwaukee Protocol, one of the main things of it is to put the person into a coma first. So basically, because this person on some level is on life support for longer, they're claiming that they're keeping these people alive for longer than with standard treatment. And that's not good enough. Like, in most cases, in the vast majority, I mean, the overwhelming majority of cases where they try this protocol, they still die. It seems like cases where people have lived, and most of those cases, from what I found, are in India. They haven't used the Milwaukee Protocol, or they, like I said, they've been complications of vaccine being vaccinated late. But yeah, it's it's been super fucking strange looking through the cases for this. And when you go to the hospital where this doctor works at, to their website, for to the rabies registry webpage, they have like one graph to show you, see how successful we are at this. And it's a really confusing graph to look at if you're not like really familiar with this type of graph. And I wasn't, and I had to look at others to compare it. And even then, like, it's like, this looks like it's to try to, confuse someone who's not familiar with this that much, like, or who's not very familiar with survival rates and that kind of stuff. But it's not, they don't have like all the papers um on they don't have all the, like, they don't have the published papers on the people who have survived. They don't have like, if they don't have the case studies from the people they've treated at their hospital. And I saw an interview with this doctor's name is Dr. Willoughby. I watched an interview with him in which he said, oh yeah, we've got a better survival rate. Where it's I might be misquoting, so Willoughby, please don't sue me for misfucking quoting you. But he implicated that they had a better survival rate at their hospital than, like, with rabies than anywhere else. And I can't seem to find evidence that he's treated any more than that first case. Like, he's reported on other cases, he's written about other cases, but it seems like he only treated that one person. And he's written a lot about it and researched a lot about it and consulted on other cases. But it was really weird when he was talking. It just seemed very odd for him to, in an interview, be like, "Yep, we're getting better results for rabies." Dude, there are only 1 to 5 rabies cases in the US every year. Last year, all 5 of them died. So even if he worked on all 5 of them, 0 for 5, guy. 0 for 5. So yeah, that was really um so I'm having so basically what I'm having here is I'm having a problem certifying anything. Let's see, it would be hard to research because the first thing you'd have to do might you first thing you do if you think anyone might have rabies or could have been exposed to rabies is vaccination. Well, yes, but then there are the 5 cases of rabies we get in the U.S. each year. Also, what he could do is he could go to many places in India where they need where he could take his all the funding he has at his hospital in Wisconsin, and he could ask them, "I need a research grant. You guys know I've got this treatment. I have this thing that seems to work, and you guys know it. It's it's working. I'm doing," and he claims that it's working in 20% of cases. Really, motherfucker. Really, like, I found that it's like interviews where he said it's like 20 to 25% of cases. I'm like, fuck off. You're such a liar. Um, like, dude, like, you cannot possibly believe the words that are coming out of your mouth right now. Like, you have to know that you're like, you're fudging the numbers here. And other doctors have been like, dude, that's not the survival rate. Like, if I, heaven forbid, I get bitten by a rabid food babe someday, and I don't get vaccinated right away and I start foaming at the mouth, do not give me the Milwaukee protocol. Okay? That's just don't. It doesn't. Um, anyways, this one time, and anyways, moving on. It's possible she didn't have rabies. It's possible she had a different disease that responded to rabies antibiotics. Anyways, but yeah, so this doctor, it's claims it's works in 20% of cases. What he could do, because there are approximately 60,000 fatalities a year from rabies, and but they're not in the U.S. They're in mostly, I believe the plurality of those cases are in India. There are a lot of cases in various, and whenever I've looked for there are a lot in various countries, in certain countries in Asia, but like the lion's share, if you want to go to the place where they're mostly getting hit by it, India, there is a section of Peru where they have a lot of rabid bats. But yeah, you want to go. There are hospitals in India where they have this as a regular problem. You know what he could do? Ask for funding. Ask for a lot of funding. They could help so many people. They could help and just be like, there are so many people where they could super fucking help. Oh my God. What? You know why he wouldn't do that? Because there are actual sick people there. He would have to help more than just people over like a screen on the TV. He would never get the money for it because they know it doesn't work. He wouldn't get the money for a good hospital to like set up a clinic to airlift. Number one, it'll cost too much for a thing that almost certainly doesn't work. But he doesn't want to go to India and be surrounded by sick people. He's staying in the fucking Milwaukee where he's going to get consults for 5 cases a year that end up dying, and he claims they lived a little longer than they would have otherwise. Like, and he keeps getting funding. Now, sorry, allegedly. Anyways, so that's why he's not fucking going to the places where he could research this, because there are people fucking dying from this disease all the time. Treating one person with the Milwaukee protocol, you could vaccinate something like. And I read one of the doctors who was like, because there are doctors who see their patients die tragically and in horrible pain, screaming with this all the time in certain places. And there was a doctor in Bangkok who was like, hope finally used it on a patient and was like, I'm never doing this again. That cost, and they took the cost of it, and it was you could vaccinate something like 15,000 kids for rabies, and they would just never get rabies. Like, why the fuck would they, use this protocol when they could take that money, all that money, not put those parents and that child through that thing that's almost never going to work, and just prevent people from ever getting this in an area of the world where it's common. Like, put it towards prevention instead. Um, but instead, this doctor in a part of the world where people aren't getting it regularly, where he could. Now, here's the other thing. And I said, follow the money. And I don't know. It's it's just three of us here. I don't know how accurate this is, and this is the part that's hard to prove, hard to know what's happening. There was this. I don't know if it was like tetrahydrobiopterin, something like that. It's like, but I'm not sure exactly what how to describe the compound, but like it's but anyways, I forget how he described it, but basically he was like, oh, I'd seen that he'd been researching that as it pertained to other diseases, and as like it's a compound that's used in your body for various stuff. It's a precursor. It's not, but anyways, but it was it's he was researching because he was an infectious disease doctor, and a pediatrician, and he was researching this compound as it pertains to other diseases. And then in the mix and the fucking soup of things that were given out for in the Milwaukee Protocol, one of the things he gave was this, and he said, "Oh, my it's spouse is here, but his tiny dog is very excited. Mwah. Go greet your papa. Go go. Hey baby." But yeah, it's in the soup of stuff that he gave with the whatchamacallit, with the Milwaukee Protocol. He gave this tetrahydrobiopterin, which he was researching, and I can find nobody else researching this for rabies. I can find, and one of the things that he said, and that I've seen other researchers say now, is that it's just a known thing. We all know, we know, it's just saying this as though it's a statement of known fact, like there are numbers behind this. They said, well, we know that this compound gets lower in rabies patients. Oh, we do. This gets wiped out in. How do we know? We know that. We know that how, doctor? So it was really interesting to see that he went from researching this for other completely unrelated infectious diseases to suddenly being like, yes, and we definitely need it for this thing that I'm the only doctor who ever cured it. You probably, and I don't know. Again, this is super fucking speculative. I don't know. I do not know. I don't know, but it looks like he had a patent, or it's hard to tell because like he lists himself as the patent holder on one website, and he lists himself as listing for the company or working for the company that does have the patent when I go to the patent website. But it looks like he had a patent um for a delivery system for this drug, or he had worked on the patent for the delivery system for this drug. He definitely did work for a pharmaceutical company or did some consulting. Um, yes, that is absolutely it. But he did some consulting for a pharmaceutical company that was working on that substance. So it's interesting. I'm just saying it's interesting that he went from researching that, getting working on with a pharmaceutical company that was working on a patent for it, working on it for other uh, uh, other diseases, and then he's like, "You should take this as part of your baby protocol." But then, like, because I was reading through all the other, like I said, when I read through, I am thorough. I find everything I can. I will go to like browsers that are only used in other countries and other languages, and then hit Google Translate and see what I can find in other languages, because I'm like, well, maybe I'm not finding these, because I couldn't find some of the, I was trying to find if people were still alive, that these stories had happened about a decade ago. And I'm like, maybe, some of these were in other countries. So I'm looking stuff up in Portuguese and hitting translate on it. I I'm dedicated. And eventually found them by searching them in Portuguese websites, or in websites from Brazil that were in Portuguese. But it was a fucking hunt, and found some of the medical um, documents, some of the documents from the hospitals down there. One of them was from Peru, so obviously that was in Spanish. But I think I don't remember right now off the top of my head. It's been a month and I had COVID. But one of the documents was from Peru. One was from Colombia. I want to say this was it was from the. I want to say it was the one from Peru, because I could understand it before I translated it. But it was it definitely recommended right in there, and said that the tetrahydrobiopterin was low in rabies patients, and to take it as part of the Milwaukee Protocol. And I'm like, from God's here, God damn it. This is something that he just said and people took as fact, and is now in other books. So anyway, I don't know what I don't know. I do not know if he has money in the game for that. I don't know if it's just, I treated this, I'm the guy, praise me, worship me, I did the thing. I definitely think the girl that was treated for it, like there are a couple people that have been treated, and they all seem very attached to the story that they were treated for rabies, or several of them do at least. And some of them don't. Like, it seems less likely that they were treated for, like, it seems unlikely that some of them had rabies. But some of them really like that mythology. But what the fuck do I know? I can't see their case files, and he's not letting them out either. So it's yeah, there's just a lot of mystery. It's very weird that he won't let people. He's like, oh, I have this rabies registry. I'm working on the documents. Don't worry, they're here. I'm just not ready to show you. Mm-mm. We're definitely 20 to 25% success rate, though. Can't show you anything. So yeah, that's where that is dropped at right now. So basically, after I learn how to do quantum mechanics, then I'm going to learn how to cure rabies. Something like that. Anyways, my throat's getting a little bit dry. I'm gonna take my leave for the night, folks. It's been a delight. If you would, I know I feel like I'm probably down to just patrons at this point, because I know who you are. But if y'all are not one of my patrons, and you want to join for so much for replication, right? So if you would like to join for a patron only live stream where things get sillier, and we're probably going to go into more of a little bit more of the researchy stuff, and where I am with that. Whatchamacallit, on Sunday. It's going to be Sunday, probably at about 2:00. And that notification for that, like about an hour or so beforehand, will be out. Lovely to see you too, Kiko. That will be out Sunday about an hour beforehand. And then, we'll be, anyways, but stream will probably be at about 2. The stream would have been tomorrow. I tried to put them on the 15th of the month. But I'm going out for, look, it's Pokemon Community Day tomorrow, and I have priorities. Anyway, so it's so tomorrow. I'm Pokemoning about town with my spouse and his former office mate back when he was a professor. I'm super excited. But if you want to join for the patron stream, I'm a cheap date on Patreon. I cost less than $1 per month if you want to pay for the whole year up front, or just $1 if you want to pay monthly. If you just want to come on Sunday, just $1. I'm a cheap date. Anyways, but if you want to, if you're like, I don't feel like giving you money because that feels weird to send you money. Again, I have an Amazon wish list down there. There's candy on the list. You can send me. It's just like a dog. I am very treat motivated. It's the apps. And look at these collarbones. There's too much of that. I wasted away to normal. Send me food. Anyways, I love y'all. Thanks for spending some time with me on Friday night. I'm sorry we've been low on the sorry we've been a little low on the writing lately, but it's just the stuff that confused Einstein. So no, but anyways, I love you guys. I'll see some of you on Sunday, and I'll see the rest of you next week. Bye.